The years, of which I have spoken to you, when I pursued the inner images, were the most important time of my life. Everything else is to be derived from this. It began at that time, and the later details hardly matter anymore. My entire life consisted in elaborating what had burst forth from the unconscious and flooded me like an enigmatic stream and threatened to break me. That was the stuff and material for more than only one life. Everything later was merely the outer classification, the scientific elaboration and the integration into life. But the numinous beginning, which contained everything, was then. C. G. Jung, 1957.
Have you ever had a moment that changed everything? A time when something clicked inside your mind and nothing was quite the same afterward? Today, we're looking at exactly such a moment, but not just any moment. We're diving into what Carl Jung, one of psychology's most influential figures, considered the most important period of his entire life. Before we dive in, let's meet Carl Jung. Back in the early 1900s, Jung was a rising star in psychiatry, working closely with Sigmund Freud. But in 1913, something extraordinary happened. Jung began experiencing what he called inner images, vivid visions and dreams that would fundamentally change his understanding of the human mind. The passage we're exploring today comes from the Red Book, written decades later in 1957. But here's the fascinating part. Jung wasn't just looking back on old memories. He was describing what he considered the foundation of his life's work. Let's break down what he's telling us. Jung writes about pursuing inner images, but what does that actually mean? Imagine your mind as an iceberg. The tip above water is your conscious thoughts, what you're aware of right now. But beneath the surface, that's what Jung called the unconscious, a vast reservoir of images, symbols, and experiences that shape our lives in ways we rarely notice. He describes this experience as something that burst forth from the unconscious and flooded me like an enigmatic stream and threatened to break me. Picture standing in a river when suddenly a dam breaks upstream. That's what Jung felt was happening in his mind, a flood of insights and understanding so powerful it was almost overwhelming. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Jung tells us that everything later was merely the outer classification, the scientific elaboration, and the integration into life. In other words, all his famous theories, all his groundbreaking work in psychology, they were simply his attempts to understand and explain what he experienced during this intense period of inner exploration. He uses a fascinating word here, numinous. It's not a word we hear every day, but it means something that's spiritually or mysteriously powerful, something that fills us with wonder and might even feel a bit frightening. For Jung, this experience was like discovering a source of endless inspiration, a well he would draw from for the rest of his life. What makes this passage so compelling is its rawness and honesty. Here's one of the 20th century's greatest minds, essentially telling us, everything I became known for, everything I achieved, it all started with this intense personal journey into my own mind. Think about that for a moment. Jung isn't talking about what he learned in university or what he read in books. He's talking about something deeply personal, something that happened inside his own psyche. Before we wrap up, I want to share something that makes this even more remarkable. When Jung wrote these words, he was 82 years old, looking back on experiences from his 40s. Yet he describes them with such certainty. The most important time of my life, he says. How many of us can point to a period in our lives and say with such conviction that everything else stemmed from it? Let us know in the comments if you've ever experienced a moment or period that fundamentally changed how you see the world. And if you're interested in learning more about Jung's ideas and their impact on modern psychology, make sure to subscribe. We've got more fascinating explorations coming your way. This is Life Balance Central, where we explore the ideas that shape our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.